The shell of a hot tub is the one part that you cannot repair or replace. So obviously when you're buying a new hot tub, you want one with a strong shell. But how do you know? Let's talk about it. Hey folks, Bill here again from Hot Tub University, and this is part one of a 5-part video series on what makes a quality hot tub. I did an overview of the 5 things that go into a quality build, and I'll link that video in the description below, but in this video we're going to do a bit of a deep dive into hot tub shell construction. Now, the vast majority of hot tub shells are made from layering acrylic over a stronger compound such as fiberglass or polycarbonate. There are shells which are made with rotationally molded plastic, and at some point I'll do a video review on those, but today we're going to focus on acrylic shells because they make up 90+% of what's out in the market. When an acrylic hot tub shell is made, it's heated in a huge oven, and then the vacuum formed into a mold to form the shape of the hot tub. Now, this acrylic sheet is incredibly thin and by definition incredibly weak, so the strength of the shell comes from the material that is bonded to the acrylic. For many years, almost every hot tub manufacturer would use a fiberglass backing, and it's simply applied by spraying it onto the underside of the acrylic and then rolling it out. Cheaper shells will have a single layer or 2 layers of fiberglass, whereas the better quality shells will usually use 3 layers, which means that the spraying and rolling process is done 3 times before the shell is complete. In my opinion, this is still the most effective way to build a strong hot tub shell. But some manufacturers have had good luck using a polycarbonate backing on the acrylic. And regardless of which manufacturing process is used to create the shell, we want a strong shell that's going to last for decades. But let's face it, you're in a dealer's showroom. How are you going to possibly know whether you have a strong shell or not in the tub that you're looking at? That's where the term self-supporting shell comes from, and you'll hear us use this term quite a bit on our site. A self-supporting shell will support the body of water without collapsing even if there are no extra supports added. If you remove one or more sides from a hot tub and take a look, particularly underneath the seats, and you don't see any additional support blocks, or you don't see any portions of the frame coming up to support the shell, then you know this is a self-supporting shell, and by definition, it's a strong shell. On the other hand, if you see support blocks of any type, they can be wood, they can be plastic, they can even be hard foam, or you see a support cradle, as you can see here, then the hot tub you're looking at has a cradle-supported shell. That means the shell itself is not strong enough to support the water load by itself. Now, we're not so much concerned about the supports themselves as we are about determining whether or not we have a strong shell, and this is a primary indicator. So, why is it important to have a strong shell? Well, if you have a weak shell, then you're very likely to experience some form of cracking in the shell within 7-8 years. Sometimes these cracks manifest themselves in a very clear way, as you can see here. But the far more common problem we see is micro-cracking. That means very tiny cracks, usually around the curves of the seat or more frequently around the jets. This cracking around the jets is known as spider webbing, and it will result in a minor leak around the jet. Now, these cracks are often so fine that they're almost invisible. If you look at this picture here, this jet had at least 6 cracks radiating out from the jet, but only 1 was really visible. And a lot of times this leak is mistaken for a silicone failure around the jet. So a technician comes in, he resilicones the jet, then he realizes that it didn't stop the leak, and they will often come back multiple times trying to fix the leak before they realize it's not the silicone, it's the jet itself. One of the major issues with this type of leak is that it often goes unnoticed because it causes a very minor water loss. The problem is that the water that does leak will play havoc with the underside of your hot tub. It's going to cause wood frames to rot, steel frames to rust, and composite frames to warp. Unfortunately, there is no way to reliably repair these type of cracks because there's simply not enough material in the shell. And even if you did manage to fix the cracks around one jet, it's going to happen at a different area at some point in the future anyway. So bottom line, folks, when you're out hot tub shopping, ask the salesperson to take one or two sides off the tub and look inside. If you see any form of support blocks under that shell, start looking at something else. I'm Bill. This is Hot Tub University. So until next time, happy hot tubbing.